What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Cass here, and we are here to talk about the top 10 NFL free agents for this coming up year. So, the top free agents for this year are very much different than the previous years. There's some actual superstars this year, multiple. Normally, every year there's a couple. There's some that you could, like last year was Julio Jones. He didn't pan out as great as people thought he would this year. I'm actually we'll get into that some other time. I'm actually going to make my own video about that and break some of that stuff down. But we're going to get into this. The first NFL free agent that I believe, number 10, is Brandon Sheriff. Brandon Sheriff has been a consistent player in run blocking and pass blocking this season. And in previous seasons, Brandon Sheriff has been very good for the Washington Commanders, former Washington football team. And even going back to the Washington Redskins days. So, we're looking at this team as a team that's almost ready to compete. They're almost ready to be there. They need a couple things to go their way. They're in a very winnable division. Still, even though the Dallas ran away with it this year, I still believe they're in a very winnable division. So I do believe Washington's going to try to hold on to this guy. I really do. But if they're not able to, there's two teams I think could really make a run for this guy. And that would be the Cincinnati Bengals and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Bengals need to shore up pass protection. Because as good as they are this year, they're in the Super Bowl now. The Super Bowl hasn't happened yet by the time we're uploading this video. But they're in the Super Bowl this year. They're a very good team. But they want to be good for the next 10 years. And if you want to be good for the next 10 years, you need to get Joe Burrow some protection. You can't have him get sacked 9-10 times a game like he did against Tennessee. You can't have that. Now the Bucs are going to have to bring in a young quarterback. Unless they bring in a vet. And this goes either way. If they bring in a vet, they don't want him getting hit a lot. Brandon Sheriff. They already have a really good offensive line. But if they bring in a young guy, same difference. You don't want him getting hit a lot. You have Tristan Wirfs. You have Marpet. Get Brandon Sheriff sure of that offensive line and kind of transform into more of a running football team. So now we're going to get into this. Jameis Winston was much improved from his previous time with Tampa Bay and was impressive before his injury with New Orleans. Now, New Orleans is in a weird spot where they're deep in the salary cap. So I feel like it's going to be hard for them to keep Jameis. Now, what I think they're going to do is I don't think the Saints are going to be able to keep him. I think they're going to try, and if they are going to, then that's going to be a really good get for them because I think this guy's got a lot left. I think Marcus Mariota, who just came a few short of this list, he'd probably rank in my top 20 available free agents. He's got a lot left too. Both first and second round picks from the same draft class. But Jameis Winston, he's got something. I saw something watching the Saints this season before he got hurt. I can very much see him being a starter again. And I think he's going to be a starter in Carolina. I don't think that he is ready to go somewhere and sit under anybody. I don't think Carolina's in the position to get a new starter either. So, I think the Broncos, if not getting Aaron Rodgers, would be a good fit for him as well. He can go there, battle with Drew Lock. He's better than Drew Lock, so he will beat Drew Lock out. And I think the Broncos would actually be a better situation than Carolina. But I think either one would really fit for Jameis' skill set. Now, number 8. Jesse Bates. Jesse Bates now, despite underperforming in the regular season, has played amazing in the postseason. I think it's that he has a more understanding now that this team needs to win. Jesse Bates is a main reason they beat Tennessee. Jesse Bates is the main reason they're in this postseason. And he is going to be special going forward. Bengals have a lot of salary cap this year. Bengals have a lot of salary cap this year. Now, to be able to get all the salary cap that they have, they've got to be able to keep some of these star players that they have. So I think they're going to offer Jesse. But if Jesse doesn't stay with the Bengals, here's two teams I think he could go to, both AFC East teams. The Patriots need a replacement for Devin McCourty. Patrick Chung just retired I think, last offseason. So they're definitely hurting at safety a little bit. I think this would be a very good pickup. Kyle Duggar's all right, but Jesse Bates is a superstar. Now, the New York Jets have a whole lot of cap. Let's look at that. Let's look at that a little bit. New York Jets cap. They have a lot of cap hit. Hats, Jesus. Cap space. That's what I should have been looking for. All right. I headed into $53 estimated million in cap. So, I think they could be a really good squad. I think they could really gear up to make a really good push in this. Let's get back to Jesse Bates. Yeah, let's get back to him. Jesse Bates. Okay. There we are. And I really think that he could be a good fit for the Jets if they could make the position to try to get him. If they get Jesse Bates, there's some serious opportunities there. Now, Stephon Gilmore, still a lockdown corner despite limited production in Carolina. I think that he isn't going to be asking as much that a normal vet would because he had so much limited production in Carolina. And I think there's three teams that could really fit with Stephon Gilmore. Now, the Carolina Panthers could try to get him back, and they might actually try to get him back. It wouldn't be a bad decision with J.C. Horn going down with an injury. You really want to kind of know what you're getting from your cornerback position, especially now in this league with the high-power offenses. You need good cornerbacks. But there's two teams that really want to compete, and they have lackluster cornerback rooms. That's the Cardinals, the Titans, and even the Falcons you could throw in there, who I think could be the powerhouse now in the NFC South going forward. You have guys that can still compete in this league. So I believe that this team could know what they're doing. So with that, I think the Cardinals, Titans, and Falcons are the best positions here. Titans might have to move some pieces around to be able to get him, but I really think you pair him with Christian Fulton, Caleb Farley even, and Elijah Molden, you get a really good cornerback room. Now, Chris Godwin is probably the second best slot receiver in the league when healthy. If not the first. Cooper Kupp really arose this year as the number one slot receiver in the league, but I believe Chris Godwin is amazing. I had talked about the Jets wanting to compete. They need to get Zach Wilson some weapons. He didn't look horrible this season, but he needs more guys to throw to. I like the idea of the Packers. A-Rod's purely out of this now, I believe. I believe he's purely out of Green Bay. He doesn't want to go there anymore. So get Jordan Love some weapons. He showed this season that he might not be ready to compete on an elite level. So you need to give him some help. I think the Packers getting Chris Godwin would show that Jordan Love can have some weapons. I'd also, depending on how this number one goes, I'll talk to y'all about that later. The Ravens would also be a good fit with Chris Godwin. Pair him with Rashad Bateman and Hollywood Brown, because I do believe Sammy Watkins is going to walk this year. I think they're going to cut him. Chris Godwin would be a really good slot receiver to have. Now, Odell Beckham Jr. is probably one of the most elite outside X receivers in the league. And I could see him very much going to the Eagles, Bears, or Colts. Now, the Eagles are interesting because they need more receiver help. They've got some guys that can compete, but the problem is with the Eagles is they don't have that elite outside guy. OBJ can be that elite outside guy. I think he would like to play with Jalen Hurts, to play with a younger team. He has the opportunity to compete for a Super Bowl this year. The Bears also, I think he would like to play with Justin Fields. I think he wants to play on a team that can win. And I think adding OBJ to either one of those teams makes them teams immediately better. But the team I think he could mostly win with would be the Colts. If you give Indianapolis Odell Beckham Jr., Michael Pittman, and Jonathan Taylor, they're probably tied with Tennessee for the most dangerous team in the division. Because right now, Tennessee is running away with that division, and it's not getting better with the way that Indianapolis ended that season. Speaking of that, Tennessee has an elite pass rusher that is on the blocks this year. Proven as an elite pass rusher, Harold Landry scooped up he scored up 12 sacks to end the year. So I think Tennessee's going to re-sign Harold Landry. They're going to do some restructuring. Kevin Byard, the safety, already said he's restructuring his deal to fit Harold Landry. But if he doesn't, I believe this is the perfect player that Bill Belichick would want. A guy from that area in Boston who loves this scheme that Bill Belichick would love to run. He very much reminds me of the next guy we're going to talk about in a minute, which is why I have the Cardinals here. The Cardinals, if they cannot hold on to Chandler Jones, Harold Landry would be a straight plate and plug. Because he so much reminds me of Chandler Jones all the time. Speaking of Chandler Bones Jones, Chandler Jones is possibly the best outside rush linebacker in the league besides T.J. Watt. T.J. Watt also plays rush outside linebacker, but this season I actually saw T.J. drop into coverage a lot more, which is why I'm placing Chandler Jones as the best rush outside linebacker in football. Because he rushes damn near all the time. We saw the way that he dominated Tennessee. Besides, you can throw some flags in there that Taylor was coming off of the torn ACL. But the best fits for him would be Green Bay. Green Bay has shored up their defense, and with Aaron Rodgers leaving, they're going to need a good defense. If they still want to compete, they're going to need a good defense. Now, Washington, like I had said earlier with Brandon Sheriff and them being able to compete, you get this guy, you pair him with Montez Sweat, and Chase Young, you have a really good squad. Now, on the other hand, if the Cowboys pair him with DeMarcus Lawrence, Van Der Esch, and all them guys, you also got an elite squad. So there's going to be a lot of people buying for Chandler Jones' services. Now, back to it. The best left tackle in football is available this year because of the Saints' problems. If the Saints had cap room, they'd resign him automatically because he's the best possible O-lineman in football, period. The best fit for me is the Cincinnati Bengals. They have the most cap in football. They're the number one team in the Super Bowl right now. He is going to be a Cincinnati Bengal at the end of the season. I have no doubts. But I think if they don't get him, Washington and the Jags would be a good fit. Because these are both two teams that I can see drafting quarterbacks. The Jags already have their quarterback, and the Commodores I can see drafting one. But they are no doubt the team that I could see getting him to protect their young quarterbacks. And Bengals, same difference with protecting Joe Burrow because he needs protection. Just like I said with Brandon Sheriff, you can't have him get sacked 9-10 times a game. He won't be there. It'll be an Andrew Luck situation. But now the number one free agency fit for me this season is Davante Adams. Davante Adams is a star X-receiver. The best X-receiver in football. The best receiver in football. Jacksonville, Commanders, and Patriots are my three picks. You pair him with Trevor Lawrence, give him that team with new coaching, elite. Washington, if they're going to want to compete, they're going to get a young quarterback. They're going to get Davante Adams. I have a feeling. But think about this. Put this suggestion in your head. Washington has a lot of cap room. They're in a winnable division. What convinces Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams not to go to Washington? They have a lot of cap room. They can get paid. And this will be and think about this. A lot of people have been talking about A-Rod moving to Tennessee. DC's not far from Nashville. DC's not far from where Tennessee is. I don't think it'd be a bad fit for Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams to go to Washington, where you already have good receivers. You have Antonio Gibson, who is a star running back. But the Patriots are interesting. You pair Davante Adams with Mac Jones and Bill Belichick. New England has their best star receiver since Randy Moss. So that's going to be where I think this is all going to end, guys. Those are my opinion for the top 10 NFL free agents. If you guys want to comment in the comment section, I would love that. And I will see you guys for the next video where we're going to break down some more NFL content. And also, don't forget about Carolina Panthers franchise. I love you guys. I'll see you guys in the next video. This has been your boy Cassa, and I am out. Bye, guys.
Yeah. Tell them boys to tighten up. Tighten up.
Let me hear you say it.
Whole city getting hype now. Tell them boys to tighten up. Tighten up.
Let me hear